But you know what's funny? The non-Christian really thinks he knows what God is like. In fact, he's so sure that he knows what God is like, he knows that hell can't possibly exist.
Yeah.
And so I just want to point out that ironic situation.
Speaking of intolerant and some of the claims that are brought against Christian morality, some of Christian doctrine, just foundational doctrine, is sort of seen by secular culture as being intolerant, hateful, fear-based. And so, you almost can't talk about sending a kid off to college without really having a discussion about the Christian doctrine of hell. And in your book, you sort of make this connection that oftentimes people's misunderstandings about hell, or maybe their attitude toward hell, is based on a misunderstanding of who God actually is. I'd love if you could expound on that a little bit, because I think that you're really hitting the nail on the head there, that if you don't really know who God is, you won't understand hell.
Yeah, so one of the themes I repeat throughout the book is what people find believable or unbelievable, right or wrong, or true or false, is actually dependent on earlier beliefs they already hold, what we call a worldview. And the same is true for the doctrine of hell. When someone is confronted with the doctrine of hell, most people are going to find it ludicrous, ridiculous, outrageous, and offensive. Now, why do they think that? Well, based on, again, the prior beliefs they already hold. And what are those prior beliefs? Well, one is what they think God is like and what they think they're like. And the average person thinks God is sort of this, if he exists at all, sort of a big kind of, fuzzy teddy bear, kind of Santa Claus in the sky who just wants you to be happy. And then yourself, what do you think about yourself? Well, I'm a pretty good person as a whole. I make mistakes because I'm human, but I'm doing my best. Now, if that's your view of God and that's your view of yourself, then hell is ludicrous. It's absolutely ridiculous. I would agree 100%. Given that starting point, given that worldview, hell would make no sense at all. But what if your starting point were wrong? What if someone were not understanding God correctly? What if they weren't understanding themselves correctly? In other words, you reject hell because your prior set of beliefs about God and yourself, but if your prior set of beliefs about God and yourself prove to be mistaken, then maybe hell isn't as ludicrous as you think. So in my chapter, I work hard to recalibrate people's perception of God. He's not just like Santa Claus in the sky. He's holy, 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 and very concerned about people violating his law because he's a holy God. And then we are much worse than we think we are. We think we're just make a mistake now and then. No, we are cosmic rebels and much more lawbreakers than we realize. And once you get that right, then suddenly hell doesn't seem so ridiculous anymore. And so I just try to point out again that people's visceral reaction is actually because they already hold earlier beliefs. Now, of course, the ironic thing is, do they have any basis for those earlier beliefs? Do they have any way to know what God is like? Here's the irony. The non-Christian's like, how dare you Christians say you know what God is like? But you know what's funny? The non-Christian really thinks he knows what God is like. In fact, he's so sure that he knows what God is like, he knows that hell can't possibly exist.
Yeah.
And so I just want to point out that ironic situation one more time.